Hello and welcome to Little Learners. In today's video we're going to be looking at some activities you can do for Phase 1 Phonics. I recently made a video all about Phase 1 Phonics, so if you want to take a look at that, it will be linked in the description box below. Before we get started, don't forget to click that subscribe button, and if you do find this video helpful at any point, please do give it a like, as it really helps out the channel. Okay, let's take a look at some activities you can do for Phase 1 Phonics. Number 1. Matching objects that rhyme. So in Phase 1 Phonics we do look a lot at rhyming. There are all sorts of different matching games that you can do for Phonics Phase 1 because that's a great way for children to really hear different sounds in words. So for example, if you've got some pictures of different animals, can they hear that the word cat rhymes with the word bat? Really getting children to recognise when different sounds are the same. This way of exploring sounds is really beneficial because children can start building up an understanding of different words that sound similar, and that in turn will eventually help them to build the skill of hearing individual sounds. Number 2. Matching animals to their noise. So Phase 1 Phonics is a lot about listening skills, hearing different sounds. This does not have to be in words. This can be environmental sounds, sounds that instruments make, sounds that animals make. So an activity for this is to have a box. You put a picture or a toy of an animal inside the box so that the child can't see what's in there. You make the noise and they have to tell you what animal is inside. And then you pick up the box or open the box and reveal whether they were right or not. Once children have played this a little bit, you can then get them to put an animal in the box, make a noise, and get you to guess which animal is inside. Number 3. Going on a sound walk or listening walk. So I mentioned this in my video all about Phase 1 Phonics. Something really easy you can do is just to go out into the environment and go on a listening walk. And the purpose of that is to really focus on different sounds that you can hear in the environment. This really helps to develop children's listening skills. Can they hear leaves rustling? Can they hear birds tweeting? Can they hear people's footsteps? Just really differentiating between the different sounds that they can hear and working out where all of those different sounds are coming from rather than just hearing them all as one big sound. This is a really crucial skill for eventually later on when children start distinguishing between the different sounds in words. Number 4. Exploring instrument sounds. Now, there are lots of ways you can do this. Of course, you can just let a child play with different instruments and just explore on their own. Allow them to tap and drum on different objects. They don't even have to be instruments around them, just to be able to compare the different sounds that different objects and instruments make. But if you want an activity, again, matching is wonderful. So if you have a few different instruments out and you have a recording of each instrument, you can play a sound. So for example, you might play what a shaker sounds like, and then the child can go and pick up different instruments until they find one that sounds like the sound you just played. Number 5, using instruments with stories. So if there is a story that you've been looking at with children and you've been looking at it a little bit, they understand the story, they know the story now, you can start introducing instruments into it as well. So let's take We're Going on a Bear Hunt, for example. Think about what instruments or objects or body parts children can use to make different sounds that go with that story. Can they drop things in a bucket of water when the family are going through a river to make splashing sounds? Can they stamp their feet when the family are running? What kind of instrument could they use when the family are going through the swishy swashy grass? This is just another really lovely way to implement more sounds into a story. So you've got the sounds from the words you're saying, of course, but also you're using instruments to create environmental sounds as well. Number 6, rhyming odd one out. So this really is just what it says. A game where you have different objects or pictures which almost all rhyme, but you might have one or two that are the odd ones out. I would recommend starting with just one odd one out at first. And as children get more confident with that game and their understanding of how rhyming works, you can start adding more objects or pictures that don't rhyme with the rest. So for example, you might have a cat, a hat, a frog and a bat. and you're exploring the way that 3 of those match by rhyming and one of them does not match because it does not rhyme with the other words. Number 7, clapping syllables. So this is an activity to start introducing children into breaking up different words, but instead of breaking it up into all of its individual sounds, we're just breaking it up into syllables. So you can have a 1-syllable word like hat, hat. A word with 2 syllables like classroom, classroom. A word with 3 syllables like the word magical, magical. And you can just keep on going as long as you think the children will be able to handle it. Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious might be just a little bit too far. During this game, you can give children words to be clapping the syllables to, but also then ask them for words. Get them to suggest words that you can use in the game as well. Number 8, I Spy. Now I know this sounds like an obvious one, but there are 2 different types of this game. So first of all, we have the game that we all know, I Spy. You look around you and choose an object and say, I spy with my little eye something beginning with A, for example. Make sure when you're playing this game that you're using the letter sounds, not the letter names. So not A, but A. Not F, but F. Now, if you're playing this game and you're seeing that children are finding this a little bit tricky, then it may be because there is just too much to look at and you might want to focus their attention a little bit more. So you can play I Spy just with a group of objects so that children know exactly what they've got to choose from and they don't get too overwhelmed. So you can use some toys, you can use picture cards, really anything you want, just as long as it's kind of a smaller sample size for them to look through. Then once they start getting a bit more confident doing that, you can expand it, add more objects or picture cards, and then move back to doing I Spy in your environment. Number 9, robot voice segmenting and blending. I know, it just rolls off the tongue, doesn't it? Now this doesn't always have to be a robot, but it seems to be one that we use a lot for some reason. You can ask the children to give the robot an object or a picture. It, being the practitioner, will then sound out that word and then say the whole word in a robot voice. Now the reason I said that you didn't need to have a robot for this is because you can do any different kind of voice. It's just to make it a bit more playful and memorable for the children. So you can choose a loud voice, a whispering voice, a silly voice, and this really encourages the children then to copy what you've been doing. And number 10 is finding different objects using segmenting and blending. Again, not the greatest name for an activity in the world. So if you have some objects out on the table and you say D, O, G, can the children blend those sounds together and find the dog on the table? Again, another matching game, but they are really, really wonderful ways to get children to explore different sounds and find sounds that sound alike or are the same. So I hope that's given you some ideas for activities you can do for Phonics Phase 1. Again, if you want to find out more about Phase 1 Phonics, you can take a look at the video linked in the description box below. If you liked this video and found it helpful, please do give it a thumbs up as it really helps out the channel. Thank you so much for watching and I will see you next time.